What's going on, people? So first off, I got like this microphone thing over here now. I don't know where the box is, otherwise I'd show you. But so hopefully this video sounds a little better than like the older ones. I mean, it shouldn't sound worse, right? And if it sounds like the same, then that was a waste of $250, right? But either way, I'm testing this thing out, so wherever it's set right now, hopefully those settings are good. We'll find out. Well, you'll find out. You guys are the ones that listen to this stuff. I just kind of put it out there after all the videos and pictures are in the right order, and then just hope for the best, right? Either way, so these actually just showed up. These right here, side of the box. That's what we're talking about, right? These just showed up yesterday, right? Today is what, Monday the 22nd. So yeah, yesterday I got these. And I did a quick Instagram live unboxing, then I ran off to a wrestling show like the WWE Sunday Stunner, right? So that was actually pretty entertaining. And so I was saying in that normally, like lately, I've been doing all my reviews in the order in which I get the shoes and all that stuff. But these, because there's not a whole lot that I really look forward to in the shoe world through the year, the Ultra Boost mainstream flagship releases or whatever, those, right, the main line. And then same goes for like the Vapormax. You know, those are the two things I really look forward to. To a lesser extent, also the Air Max redesigns that they, not redesigns, but new designs that they do. But usually I'll wait for like a color that I like on those. Whereas the other things, I'll just buy them as soon as they come out. The exception being last year when like for Air Max month, I bought four pairs of shoes, all new models, just so I could have like a different review for every week of that month or something like that. Yeah, it worked out for the most part, but some of it I could do without. Either way, so I have a couple other things here because normally when I get a new Vapormax, I do the first one as like a comparison sort of thing. So this one might run a little long, but there's timestamps and such, right? So you can go ahead and click to those. Though anybody who wants to know about timestamps and where they need to click to has probably already found that for themselves, right? Let's just call it what it is. But either way, that's how this is gonna go. Comparison, I'll probably do that up front just to get it out of the way. Then I'll knock out the actual, or no, it'll probably be easier to just do it all at the same time because there are some things here, but I'll figure it out. I usually do. Either way, let's talk about these, right? This right here is the Vapormax 2023 in Baltic Blue and Citron Tint. Odd colors, but I do like the colors, so there's that. But more on that in the personal thoughts section. So, first up, normal stuff, right? Down there, across the bottom, right? What you're looking at down there is pretty much the same style outsole that they've been using on a lot of these lately. Basically all the Vapormaxes, because they had that one that was like a big mix of nonsense, and it was the last new thing I saw using like the older bubble, like, you know, like the older bubble. Can't remember what those things were, the Vapormax Evo or something. Either way, nowadays they do this thing, right? It's working out pretty well. So anyways, let's take a look at that from the other side, right? The side, the midsole side, right? So there you have that, right? So it's looking pretty decent. This time around they do have a little swoosh on the outside. That was a thing that you didn't have on like the previous model, right? This right here is a 2021. They didn't make a 2022 for whatever reason. But as I said yesterday, and I'll probably say again, I feel like they probably spent more time researching instead of just producing a new one, is rushing it out there, which is kind of a good idea, right? So either way, that's going to be the midsole side and all. So quick other couple shots here just to kind of start getting your mind wrapped around what we're looking at here, because this is probably new to some people, right? I mean, it's new to me. It's actually, these just came out on the 18th, so they're probably new to a lot of people, but I get it. There's probably also a lot of videos out there from the people that get these things like ahead of time, you know, before they hit the public or whatever. I'm not that cool, you know, like Will Hogue would say. So I get these whenever Nike releases them and they tell me how much money they want from me. So that's the relationship we have. It's probably similar to what you guys have, right? So anyways, now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead. We're gonna do the whole shebang, right? You know, get on down in here. And that's when we'll start working in these comparisons. So down here, toe box type area, right? So you can kind of tell there, it looks a little more porous than it did on the previous ones. A lot of extra holes for ventilation and such, which reminds me a lot of this right here. This is the Vapormax 2. Some of you might remember this. It was kind of a big thing some time ago. So down there on the bottom piece kind of reminds me more of that. Whereas if you looked at the previous one, it was, you can't quite tell, but just take my word for it. There's not as much of a ventilation there. It's just an overall tighter knit, not a big deal, you know. But anyway, so that's what's going on here. And also you do have like the different colors stitching in there for like the different shades of blue or whatever. So it's a nice look all in all. And then also down in there, and we'll cover it more with the laces, but you do see the pink lines running through for the fly wire. Now, moving over to the mid-ish area, right? So there, one of the differences you have is that they have this little spray painted style swoosh going on there, whereas last year it was more of like a stitched on sort of thing, right? Got the embroidered stuff going around this like plastic piece. So this time they opted not to do that, which not by a lot, but I guess will technically make the shoe lighter, so there's that, right? And it might be easier to do that too. I mean, I would just assume it seems like it takes less work, you know? And so moving around to the back third or so of this here shoe, right? So especially looking down here in this heel cup type area. So last year you had a slightly different look, right? You did. It's similar in a lot of ways until you get to like the actual heel cup piece, right? This had more of an Ultra Boost design on the 2021s. And this one, not so much, right? It just kind of cuts down here. You do have that same plastic style overlay that you have on like all the trail shoes and things of that nature. And then as you get to the back, also kind of like what you had on here. This was a lot of this plastic stuff going on there. Now, as you get to the back though, one of the things that's different, this is a little more solid all the way up through here. Whereas last year, because the heel cup stops and it has this little indentation, not so much, right? So that could possibly help people with like if their heels were slipping in and out of the shoes, you know, might be locked in a little bit better. I can't say right now because I haven't really worn these past like just enough to see how the sizing and comfort is, right? But hopefully I'll be getting these on feet relatively soon, and then I'll do one of those little follow reviews or something. You know, one of those little short clips I'd put up sometimes. So either way, that's what's going on there. Also, one thing that BX pointed out in the not comments, but in the live stream yesterday, was that this little heel tab thing, a lot smaller than it's been in previous years. So you see that? Yeah, there's a big difference there. It makes it look kind of dumb on these, whereas like before I didn't even question it, you know? So there's that for you. Let's switch back around. I said something about these laces, so let's talk about these laces, right? Now, first off, with these laces, one of the things that I don't like about them is that I'm pretty into, and you probably noticed if you've ever seen like certain videos I do, I like to tuck the laces in, right? Because I just feel like having them flopping all around is not okay. So it's easy on these, and I really like the way they did the lace tips on the 21s, where like it's round down here, but then it's flat on the tips, right? Remember how I was talking about that? These, you just have this sort of drawstring, sort of like ripped out of a pair of sweatpants sort of rope issue going on here, which is fine, right? I mean, it gets the job done. It's just, if I was to tuck these in, it'd be a little bulkier than with these, and so I don't like that. But that's just a personal thing. Otherwise, it's just like standard plain white laces. And yes, they can be switched out. It's not the end of the world. But would I switch them out? No. I'm super lazy when it comes to switching laces, right? I don't know that I ever have, actually, once I put something in there. Minus the one time for those core purple ones. I think everything else has just been in there forever. So anyways, that's what the lacing situation is. Now, I did kind of say that I was going to get down into like this whole pink lining situation, right? So this is looking like and feeling like the whole flywire situation from many moons ago. So you didn't really have that on the 2021s, right? The laces were just here. They were on these little strips, and that was the end of it. And I didn't think that was a problem because it was better than the 2020s, which had that big box, and like those strips like felt like a little stiffer, like there was one of those like nail files in there or something. Didn't care for it. Didn't care for it at all. They had a cool design, you know, it was cool like as an idea, the 2021s or the 2020s. But in execution, when I did like a running performance test, oh no, that's where that all fell apart. But looking at something like this, again, the 2019, I got these in 2019. It's the Vapormax 2. So looking at the Vapormax 2, that's kind of what they're going with here, right? So when you tighten these laces, it tightens the whole shoe down, which, as I noticed moments ago, I was walking around and I'm like, why do these feel, they look like the same dimensions, but they felt like tighter? It's because I was able to tighten them when I pulled the laces up, you know? With something like this, it's not a slim fitting thing or whatever, like older prime knits or Flyknits. So it's a little loose, all that recycled stuff. I get it, right? I mean, sure, it helps with the planet or whatever, but it kind of takes away from the comfort in some ways. But I looked at that when I was walking around in these, and long story short, and I'll probably say this again with the comfort and stuff, if you're feeling like these over here were a little bit loose on you, this might fix that for you, since it does have the fly wire in there, which is kind of a good thing. Now, moving back over here behind that, looking at the tongue also kind of reminds me of like the same sort of tongue you had on the Vapormax 2, because it's got a lot of holes in it, right, for breathability and all that good stuff. So I do like that. It's a pretty good idea. And then at the top of that, you have this little Vapormax logo, and that's what they both say. They both say Vapormax. So that's what's going on the outside. Let's go ahead, take a look down at the inside, get on through this thing, right? So down on in there, these are both having the same sort of little Nike pinwheel thing. And one of the things that you'll also notice about looking at this insole is that it's got some holes going on in there, right? I don't know how that's going to show up in the camera, but I'll get like better pictures later. But those holes do go all the way through. Now they don't go all the way through the sole, you know what I'm saying? That there's still plastic down there. But it seems like it might give you some extra ventilation. The only reason I kind of question that to like before I go and double down and commit to saying that is because the holes will be down here, but you still have this like plastic layer that like holds the shoe together. So I'm wondering how that's going to work. Even if it doesn't add any extra real ventilation for your feet, which it should, it at least looks cool, right? And it doesn't take away, seemingly for now, from the shoe. So I'll take a little visual appeal, right? If it doesn't hinder the actual functionality, that's fine by me. Otherwise, just looking at the whole insole there, it's going to be like that standard future craft style thing. I think that's what they were calling it. No, that doesn't sound right. I think that was an Adidas term. But whatever they were calling that sort of recycled stuff going on down, the crater look, that's what they were calling that. It has that sort of thing going on down there, which is fine, you know, it's kind of a cool look. It kind of reminds me of like the Joyrides in a way. Remember those, the Nike Joyrides? And so as far as like the rest of the inside goes, basically what you have on the outside is on the inside, because it's all just really thin, which is good for a running shoe. And then one of the things that's weird about this, while we're talking about the inside, down here lining all this stuff, right, you see it on the back of the tongue, right, you got this green sort of stuff. You see it down here around the top of the sock liner area. So it kind of looks like a towel in a way, right? And feels like that too. It's really soft, by the way. It just seems weird, but I feel like if you're wearing these and you have like low socks or no socks, which no socks is disgusting, but if you got low socks, right, then it probably feels pretty nice on the ankle, but it would probably also get really dirty because this is like a running shoe, right? So there's that to think about, but it's a cool design, you know, have a little furry type of whatever they have going on in here. The one other thing though, on the back piece, like the heel piece, right? So some people have mentioned on various other models, right? Not necessarily these. I think it was definitely like the React Visions or the Element 87s. One of those, people were saying how like this back piece, like if you do wear low socks, kind of like rubs on your heel and kind of like rubs the skin away and stuff, which was fine on this because they had this big pillow sort of action going on, right? But they don't have that so much anymore, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out for people, but it's something that you might want to think about, you know what I'm saying? Also, just below that on the outside, you do have some of that fly wire lining the side, right? Because this top lace, I guess, pulls that in maybe. Not sure where that's being pulled from, but it's in there, so it just looks kind of cool. And then otherwise, the sock liner, because I was thinking when I saw this look that it was going to have one of those fits kind of like an Ultra Boost Uncaged, where at the top it really just like pulls in on you, but no, it's not. It's a little It's nice, it's open and whatnot, so you don't have to worry about this like hugging your feet too much, because some people don't like that. Either way, I think that's enough about the looks of the shoe and whatnot. So now we're gonna get past all this, talk about some personal thoughts, and then that will be that. No, it won't, because then there's the size and the comfort. Personal thoughts, right? I think that these came together like pretty nicely. I mean, I was not sure how I felt about the actual color, you know? It looked fine in the pictures, but you never know what it's gonna be like in person. But once I got them, I was like, oh, this is pretty all right. And then I was looking at them, like seeing the different changes that they made from the 21 to the 23. And a lot of it makes sense. I didn't see as much room for improvement on the 22s because I guess I was just pretty content with them. But then you see something like this where they change things. Oh, you know what? That actually made sense. So I can sit here and talk about these and give them some praise right now. But honestly, that only means so much, right? Because I just took these out of the box and I really haven't done much more than look at them. When I actually get these worn and start going around in them and all that stuff, that's when you start to really see how you feel about something. But it's at least giving me a good feeling that I'm going to have a good experience when I do wear them. And for the price they're asking on these things, that's kind of what you want, right? I think retail is $200, something like that maybe. And so with stuff like this, there's no reason to buy it up front, right? It's gonna sit on the shelves and be there forever, right? So just wait it out is my suggestion, and then eventually there'll be a sale. Same, I mean, I bought these initially, the green pair, the 21s, and then like 3 weeks later, I think they were like 30% off. So I, you know, had to deal with that. But either way, I like them, I do. I like them a fair amount from what I'm seeing so far. Will my opinion change once I actually wear them? Hopefully not. I think it won't. But that's enough out of me as far as like what I think about these and all that good stuff. So yeah, Nike may have done all right this year. May have done all right. Not that they didn't do all right with the last one. I'm just saying. Sometimes they change things and it gets worse, right? I mean, right? We've seen that happen. Anyways, now the last piece of this video is going to be the sizing, the comfort and whatnot. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and knock that out. I bought these in a 9.5, right? Because my foot size is 9.5 and that seems to work. Especially given that all my other Vapormaxes and such were bought in that same size. And these right here, dimension-wise, I feel like they're on par right there with the 2021s. So if you're not sure about your size, go try one of those on because those are definitely still in stores. And then see what you do from there, right? But otherwise, true to size fit like all my other Vapormaxes, I'm fine with that. Now, the one thing like I kind of alluded to when it comes to like how much room is in the shoe, it is a pretty narrow build, but by default they still felt a little bit roomy just because of the way the material is not so tight knitted. But luckily they do have the flywire thing to kind of bring that in just a little bit, so that gives me like the more snug sort of feel that I prefer, right? Now again, if you have like wider feet and all that good stuff, I can't say what you would want to do with these, but you're probably going to want a larger size, just again because it is a narrow build, right? Just from left to right and all that good stuff. Lengthwise, I don't have any problems there. Got the right amount of room in the toe box, so I'm cool as far as the length goes. Now as far as walking around in them and all that stuff, right? I only walked around in them so much, but basically I know what to expect of this Vapormax midsole redesign, which I don't even know if you can call it a redesign anymore because it's definitely here to stay. But this is feeling really good. They don't have that long break-in period like the older Vapormaxes do. Feel just way more comfortable all in all because of the way they redesigned it. And so that's pretty nice. The one other thing I will say about walking around in these that is a plus is that when you have all these open holes and stuff, you can definitely feel that these are lighter on your feet and cooler on your feet. So that's a plus, especially once you start getting into these summer months and whatnot. So all in all, I'm thinking if you pick up a pair of these and you're thinking this is going to be your summer shoe, I suspect that you'll be fine with it. But again, once I get out there and actually wear these for real, like in the real world and whatnot, you know, then I'll know how to truly feel about them. But for now, I'm giving them a thumbs up. I like these. And also the color thing, you're going to have to wait for a while for your favorite colors to come around more than likely, unless they do some like Nike IDs. But I could see some Nike ID options on these being pretty cool if they give you enough colors to work with. So which maybe it's about time to do another one of those Nike ID contest things or something. Haven't done that in a while. So there's that. I covered everything that I wanted to cover, I feel like. So now I am going to, what time is it? It's 8 o'clock. What time am I going in today? I gotta figure that out, but I think I'm gonna do all the video stuff and then go to work. So from me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm gonna do something here and we'll cross paths at some other point. Later, people.